Hi, spiders. Let's talk about our Bible today. Do you remember we've been talking about the catastrophe? Well, we're going to wrap that up on this week. You remember it was the flood. And the flood, there are some other things that we need to talk about. There was one whole flood that happened. And in Genesis, it talks about it. And it says, Genesis chapter 7, verse 11 and 12. Noah was 600 years old. It was the 17th day of the second month of the year. And on that day, all of the springs at the bottom of the oceans burst open. God opened the windows of the sky. So the ocean bottom floor opened up and water came out. And the sky opened up from above and water came down. The rain fell on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. And it flooded the whole world. We remember learning about that. So it says, it opened up in the bottom of the sea, and it came down from the top of the sky. Well, some other changes happened during the flood. The world was changed because under the ocean was opened up. There were earthquakes. There were lots of different things because God made the world open, the crack open. Well, it created volcanoes to start bursting. And here's what the volcanoes look like. On the top, they look like this. And you can see that red, and the red is the melted rock. It's called magma. And it's really, really, really hot, and it creates a whole lot of smoke and ash. Then, because he opened up the bottoms of the ocean, there were volcanoes underneath the ocean. Well, that ash has to go somewhere, and because it's so hot, it stays dry and it bursts out from the surface of the ocean. And guess where that ash goes? It goes into the air. So after all that rain, after all those changes with the bursting open of the ground and the water coming up and all the water coming down, and it had never rained in the world before, all this water come down out of the sky, it changed the atmosphere of the world. Well, God had a plan with all of that. It created an ice age. So looky right there, an ice age. Do you remember that movie, Ice Age? There were some really cool animals in there, right? There was Manny, the woolly mammoth. There was Diego, the saber-toothed tiger. There was Sid, the sloth, my favorite. He was so silly. And then there was Scrat, that crazy squirrel. Well, all of these animals are really, really fat and furry. They're big. He probably weighed about 5,000 pounds. That's a lot. It's a few tons. Looky there. He probably weighed maybe 1,500 pounds. I don't know. The sloth, maybe not so big, but still fat and furry. Well, those animals could live through the ice age. Now, it didn't say that the whole world was covered with ice, but it changed the world. So see, there's the woolly mammoth. There's the saber-toothed tiger. And you kind of see a comparison of the people. Okay? And then this one's hard for me to say. He's a glyptodon, like a giant armadillo, about 2,000 pounds or the size of a small car. Well, all these animals, they were able to survive during the ice age. It probably wasn't the whole world. And if you look, you can see, because all that ash came up in the air, it covered up the sun. Well, what warms up the world? The sun. So it started to snow because there was all this water. So it rose up, it got really, really cold, and it turned into snow, and it snowed and snowed and snowed for years, but probably only in part of the world. So it shows it right there. You see that? Well, that was the Ice Age. The Ice Age was just another part of the catastrophe. It was a part that also helped us to learn about God and how to trust in Him and how to believe in Him. And it shows us how the world changed because of the flood. The Bible doesn't tell us why they were so big, why the animals were so big, or even really why the ice all came. It's just kind of a science thing that shows that the world did change. But we know that most of these animals, they're extinct. We have something like this, the elephant, and then we have regular tigers, and we have regular sloths, and we have regular squirrels. But These guys lived during the Ice Age because they were fat and furry. We don't know why they got extinct. We don't know what God really had a plan for them, but we do know that it wasn't millions of years ago. It was just in a few thousand years. And according to the Bible, and what the Bible tells us, it was probably only about 4,000 years ago that the Ice Age came, right after the flood, because God changed the world because he had a plan. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the confusion. And Pastor Jess talked to us a lot about the confusion. So we talked catastrophe and confusion. And that's our next chapter next week. So just know there's a reason. God has a plan. He has a plan to create, and he has a plan to destroy. But remember, he also had a plan of a promise. And last week, we saw one of those promises come to life when we looked at Jesus' death and his resurrection. And now, this teaches us the flood and the Ice Age and the changes of the world, teaches us, including like even this virus, teaches us things about how to trust in God. Just like what Pastor Ty's been saying, what Miss Krill's been saying, and what we're all telling you. Trust God. See you later. By the way, look who's hanging out with me. It's Bruno. He likes to read about the Bible too. Bye.